Thank you for watching the news on Times TV with me, Jawez Banda. But first, the headlines. The Anti-Corruption Bureau insists it will interview former President Peter Mutharika on Wednesday. A fresh criminal investigation into the Msundwe rape scandal to be concluded in the next 2 months. And Center for Human Rights and Rehabilitation faults implementation of Operation Valamask. We have these and other stories. Please stick with us. Now the news in detail. The Anti-Corruption Bureau, SCB, says it will proceed to interview former President Peter Mutharika on Wednesday. On Tuesday, Mutharika rejected an interview with the SCB on allegations of abuse of his taxpayer identification number when he was in office. SCB Senior Public Relations Officer Egrita Ndala said the Bureau has communicated the same to the former president. The former president's lawyer, Samuel Tembenu, he did not pick up his mobile phone for a comment. Jameson Chauluka has the details.
There have been allegations that Mutharika's taxpayer identification number was abused importing cement worth billions of kwacha, taking advantage of his tax-free status. In a letter to the Bureau, Mutharika said the interview is unfair, saying every former president and former vice president should be called to explain how their T-pins were used. Mutharika said only out of courtesy, if the interview was to take place, he would remain silent throughout the interview. Initially, SCB had indicated the Bureau to interview Mutharika from July 20, but later shifted the interview to July 27.
Inspector General of Police George Kainja says the fresh criminal investigations into the rape scandal that happened in Lilongwe, Msundwe, Mpingu and Bwatalika areas would help to identify cops involved in the malpractice. Malawi Human Rights Commission, Malawi Police Service and the Women Lawyers Association have signed a memorandum of understanding signifying commencement of fresh criminal investigations scheduled to be concluded in the next 2 months. Audrey Kapalamula reports.
Briefing reporters in Lilongwe, Kainja implored the public to trust the outcome of fresh criminal investigations. The police chief observed that with the first criminal investigations, the police were unable to identify the suspects, stressing that the current investigations would involve parading over 300 police officers who were deployed during the operation.
The first investigation that we carried out earlier on were found wanting. They had a lot of gaps that we needed to fill, right from the point of the court and the stakeholders like Women Lawyers Association, Malawi Human Rights Commission. They were not satisfied with the way how the Malawi Police Service carried out its investigation. So for purposes of transparency, we thought it would be important that we answer the voice of reason that is outside there.
When asked on whether the compensations that the 18 women received recently would not compromise the credibility of the investigation, Kainja said the investigations would go beyond the 18 women while adhering to the human rights standards. Women Lawyers Association representative Hilda Soko stressed that the absence of timely identification and prosecution of culprits forced the victims to pursue civil claims. She said the compensation that the 18 women received was as a result of the police's failure to identify the culprits and not for being raped and defiled, as the matter is criminal in nature.
In the civil claim, they were claiming that their rights were violated because of the absence of investigations, which we seek to commence at this particular occasion. The compensation that was given to the women and the girls through the pursuit of the civil case was specifically targeting the failure part of the inaction in trying to pursue the criminal case.
Malawi Human Rights Commission Executive Secretary Habiba Osman says the Commission is grateful to be involved in the matter. United Nations representative Sabine Lobes said they are committed to providing technical support throughout the process, irrespective of the outcome.
The Center for Human Rights and Rehabilitation, CHRR, has voiced its concern over the way Malawi Police Service is implementing Operation Vala Mask. CHRR Executive Director Michael Kayasa says use of force cannot be part of an effective strategy to contain the spread of the virus. Wezi Gausi has this report.
Over the weekend, the Minister of Justice, Taisda Simvalo, is reported to told a meeting of health workers in Ncheu district that instead of using force, the law enforcers must intensify community engagements. Kayasa says people will cooperate better if they understand why they have to wear masks. He says they have observed that COVID-19 preventive measures are not being followed when making arrests. He cites examples of suspects being overcrowded in police vehicles with little or no social distancing. Recently, the Malawi Police Service issued a public statement notifying the general public on how the police will be moving around to enforce people to wear masks on what they called Operation Vala Mask.
The Ministry of Health has expressed concern with a number of uncompleted health facility projects, some dating as far as 2007. Minister responsible, Kumbize Kandodo Chiponda, said the current administration will source funds to ensure that there is increased access to health services in the country. Matthews Kasanda has a report.
The minister says some of the projects under the Ministry of Health that have stalled are health centers and staff houses. Chiponda made the remarks in Deeds on Tuesday when she opened a newly constructed operating theater at Dedza District Hospital.
So as a new government, as a new administration, we are committed that we finish those projects. Because when you're starting a project, it is for a reason. It is, to give service to the Malawians, the much needed service. And now we're talking of universal health coverage, whereby we want each and every Malawian to have access at least to health services. So we are committed that we are going to find funding so that we finish all these projects.
Chiponda has commended health authorities in Dedza for making sure that the construction of the theater, worth 120 million kwacha, is completed within 6 months. The facility has been constructed with funding from the United Nations Population Fund Agency, UNFPA. Yang Hong is UNFPA country representative.
The maternal deaths occur in Malawi. It is really preventable if we stop teenage pregnancy or if we build much more facility, well-equipped, to be able to ease the access of the women and girls to really seeking for the maternal health.
Hong further explained that the operating theater will help reduce maternal deaths in the district. Dedza District Hospital conducts more than 200 operations every month.
Children First Trust founder Mary Chilima has urged Malawians to assist children with disabilities. Chilima was speaking in Nchisi on Tuesday when her organization donated various items, including wheelchairs and blankets, to children with disabilities in the area of traditional authority, Chilooko. Ellen Pindani compiled this report, read by Matthews Kasanda.
Chilima said parents who have children with disabilities face a lot of challenges when raising the children. Therefore, there's a need for communities to support such parents.
Just want to encourage Malawians of goodwill to say, please assist the children. You can come through us as Children First, or you can come directly to these places where we're visiting and assist. As you can see here, we're told that there's about 365 to 500 children, but we've only been able to reach 100 of them. So there are many that we haven't reached, and this is just one area of the many. So my appeal is to say, if you can, please, whatever you have, whether it be clothes, whether it be food, whatever it is, even prams that you don't use anymore can be used for children that are not mobile. So anything is welcome and accepted.
She further pleaded with mothers who have children with disabilities to be self-reliant. Malawi Council for the Handicapped, Makoha, District Rehabilitation Officer for Nchisi, Ivan Twana, thanked Children First Foundation for the gesture.
We are so thankful as a district because the help that they have brought to the district will help these children. They have brought blankets and some groceries. and this will give a good impression to the mothers.
Traditional Authority Chilowoko has 263 children with disabilities.
The country is to have recorded data on corruption cases being reported from different areas in an effort to fight the vice. The Anti-Corruption Bureau and National Statistical Office have signed a memorandum of understanding to help in compiling data of corruption happening in specific areas in the country. Gary Samati has the details.
According to the Commission of Statistics, Mercy Kanyuka, the partnership between the two will deal with corruption by keeping statistics of corruption, by breaking it down into figures according to areas. This, she said, will help the institutions to know which areas to prioritize when dealing with corruption.
Plan. Main objective is to plan research areas and work on the survey tools and collaborate using our various resources, human resource, equipment and so on, as well as financial resources, see how we can integrate all this to carry out studies on corruption in Malawi.
On her part, Martha Chizuma said the partnership is in line with the objectives she has for the SCB.
We are going to benefit a lot as SCB, but also as a country, because SCB works for the country. As I said in my remarks, this is quite a landmark day in the anti-corruption fight. And why I said that is because if you see at any intervention done by any country in terms of trying to improve performance and trying to ensure there's development, at the back of it, in the background, there are statistics, there are numbers, there's research that is done. And so if we are talking about anti-corruption fight in the country, we are saying statistics matter. And if statistics matter, the engagement that we have now signed formally today with the National Statistical Office is a huge step towards ensuring that we have correct statistics that we can now interpret in coming up with interventions on anti-corruption fight in the country.
The partnership will run for 5 years, coming to an end in 2026.
Remember, you're watching Times News coming to you this way this evening. We'll be back shortly after this break.
If there's one thing that all soaps do, it's wash. From buckets to basins, bathrooms to streams, and everything in between.
All soaps wash.
Yes, but Protex is different. Its reinvented formula with flaxseed oil boosts your skin's natural anti-germ defenses by 10 times more, protecting you against 99.9% of germs. So what keeps us healthy?
Protex!
Good health starts here.
Muntu mmodzi payekha sangamange mudzi, koma anthu angapo kubwera pamodzi timati uwu nde mudzi. Pamodzi tili ndi kuthekera kobweretsa chitukuko mdera lathu. Network yathu ya Chimalawi ya TNM yakhala ikuthandiza madera ambiri mu njira zosiyanasiyana. Komano pano TNM ikufuna kupitiriza ntchitoyi mogwirizana ndi ife eni ake amudzi. Ndi nkani yabweretsa TNM mudzi wathu. Mukagwiritsa ntchito TNM poimba foni, kutumiza ma SMS, kugwiritsa ntchito internet, kapena kugwiritsa ntchito mpamba, chaka chilichonse TNM idzipereka 1% kapena 1 kwacha pa 100 kwacha iliyonse ya ndalama zomwe yapanga kuti ithandizire pa chitukuko chomwe anthu akufuna mdera lawo. Tikabwera pamodzi ndi kugwirizana chimodzi, tikhonza kupanga zazikulu mmudzi wathu. TNM mudzi wathu. Umodzi unamanga mtolo. Ndondomeko zidzatsatidwa.
Welcome back to Times News. Government has been cautioned against delays in recruiting teachers who have graduated from various teachers training institutions in the country. The Livingstonia Synod of CCP moderator Reverend Isaac Malongo said the delay erodes the teachers' morale and professionalism. Josephine Chipofya has a report read by Sam Kalimira.
Reverend Malongo said this at a graduation ceremony at Loudoun Teachers Training College in Embangweni in Mzimba district. Malongo said the government should also start supporting private teachers training colleges as they contribute to the provision of teachers who are few in the country. Further to this, the synod moderator said the government can also help the private TTCs with lecturers.
The retention of the staff that are going to train, that those train other teachers. The government, at least, they should supply some teachers within the TTCs that are run by the church. Because what the church is doing, it is not doing for itself, but it's doing for the government. Then the government needs to contribute, maybe staff members or infrastructure. They need to consider that the TTCs are playing a very, very significant role in the country.
Meanwhile, Acting Chief Education Officer from Zimba South, Maite Kayuyu, said shortage of teachers in his area affects the teaching and learning process. Kayuyu added that the 105 teachers who have graduated will help to fill the existing gap. In his remarks, Executive Director for Livingstonia Synod Education Department, Joseph Munyimbiri, said shortage of infrastructure such as classrooms and hostels makes the institution fail to enroll many students.
We also need a lot of lodging space. As you can see, we have high demand. This year's EPT 16, we had 3,000 applicants, out of which we only managed to get 300. So if we had enough space, surely we could accommodate each and everybody because they are deserving and they are highly qualified.
The 2019 statistics show that Malawi had 37,554 female teachers according to the World Bank.
Officials at the Electricity Supply Corporation of Malawi, ESCOM, have said the organization's operations are being suffocated by huge sums of money owed by individuals, government ministries, departments and agencies. The Power Utility Board has since announced a disconnection campaign for all accounts that have unsettled bills in order to recover for the 2 billion kwacha in unpaid bills. Sam Kalimira reports.
ESCOM Public Relations Manager Innocent Chirosi, in an interview, said private companies have also huge unsettled bills, which some date back as far as 3 years ago. However, Chirosi was non-committal to shed more light on reports that ministries, department agencies account for over half of the money that ESCOM is owed. Meanwhile, ESCOM has refuted reports that it awarded a 3.2 billion kwacha contract to supply lead bulbs to Zamia Karim, who is answering corruption charges. Chitosi further indicated that ESCOM met the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament on Saturday, where it, among others, highlighted that it is not doing any business with Karim.
Actually, there were some people who were suspicious of that arrangement, and the ACB came in, they cleared us, they gave us a go-ahead, and then we did everything, and we sold the bulbs. So, it is not true, there's no any grain of truth in the allegation that we are buying or we have bought energy saver bulbs from Mr. Zamia Karim.
Nzuzu-based social commentator Peter Mumba said it is high time the government found proper ways of collecting revenue from government departments and agencies that are owing some institutions huge sums of money. Mumba observed that it is sad that ESCOM and water boards are the main victims of such tendency. ESCOM is a limited liability company established under the Companies Act of 1984. The mandate of the corporation is to procure, transmit and distribute electricity in the country.
Inspector General of the Malawi Police Service, George Kainja, says the service is in full force to make sure that the country is safe during and after the Southern African Development Community Summit. Kainja says the police has therefore tightened security as the country is preparing to hold the SADC Summit. We have a report.
The country is expected to hold SADC Summit in August this year. Kainja has since warned that the law enforcers will bring to book anyone who intends to disturb the peace of the nation. He says this is the time when the country will be receiving many visitors across the region, hence the need for more security.
We, as the Malawi Police Service, partnering with MTF, partnering with NIS, partnering with immigration and other stakeholders in the security sector, we are ready to make sure that peace and order prevails.
Recently, the Minister of Foreign Affairs said the country will host the 41st SADC Summit in August this year. In a press statement, the ministry says they were continuing to engage with the stakeholders in its preparation to host the summit. On May 11, 2021, the ministry quoted the SADC National Committee Malawi chapter, which was revamped and launched on April 1, 2021, in order to oversee the implementation of the SADC activities at national level.
That's the news for now, but before we go, the headlines once again. The Anti-Corruption Bureau insists it will interview former President Peter Mutharika on Wednesday. A fresh criminal investigation into the Msundwe rape scandal to be concluded in the next 2 months. And Center for Human Rights and Rehabilitation faults implementation of Operation Valamask. Remember, you can get more on these and other stories by visiting our website www.times.mw, liking our Facebook page Times 360 Malawi, and following us on Twitter at Times 360 Malawi. Remember to wash your hands regularly, observe social and physical distance, and mask up. Please stay safe. You have been with me, Jawes Banda. Goodbye.
Kutumiza ndalama kulinga